Long ball number 3 here for Friday, March 7th. Looking ahead at Major League Soccer Match Day 3, we are going to do our Fab 4 picks of games to watch here this weekend. And I'll kick us off with my first pick of the Fab 4,
Right.
Seattle versus Los Angeles Football Club, Saturday at 4:45. I picked this, both teams kind of in need of an early solid result. Kind of both picked to be amongst the top of the Western Conference leaders,
Yeah.
and maybe a slower start than they would have liked. So 3 points would be big for either Seattle or Los Angeles here.
Yeah, I mean, LAFC comes off of the big 3-0 win over Columbus, right? But they had the kinder draw in the Champions Cup. Seattle also in the Champions
Much
Cup, and they had the
kinder.
0-0 against Cruz Azul. And that was not, that was not vintage. They also had the beating that they took, or I mean, relatively speaking, they lost to Real Salt Lake 2-0 in a game that, what felt odd, right? It didn't feel like a game that fit any of our preconceived notions, and obviously that's what MLS does. So this one should be fascinating. I mean, again, these teams have played for Western Conference championships. Like they are the clubs of the last 5 years in the Western Conference. I mean, I know LA Galaxy are the defending champions, but we've been watching the Sounders and LAFC play each other in big games, and the Sounders always struggle against LAFC. They just always do. So if you look at the head to head and the last couple times that they played, Seattle did beat LAFC in the playoffs last year in November before they went on to play the Galaxy. But prior to that, it was a lot of LAFC beating the Sounders. In fact, the Sounders struggled to score goals. So were we going to get back to that, or can the Sounders make it two in a row?
The narrative makers out there already starting to put the French forward for LAFC. His name is Olivier Giroud, kind of painting him in the maybe he's borderline. He's teetering on the edge of a bust here.
Ooh,
Do you think?
are we gonna say that? All right, Sacre
He,
Bleu.
he's teetering on bus territory, and some calling for Jeremy Abobasi to just be the stamped in starter there. Do you think that how many goals does Giroud have to score here in the next game or two to
I
silence
mean,
those words?
yeah, no, he's already. It's already questionable whether he's the right guy. I think Bobasi, he scored on the opening weekend. He's obviously a very good player who has kind of been under the radar. I mean, there was a moment when Obobasi looked like he might end up being a national teamer. I think he had a
Peripheral.
concussion issue when he was in Portland, and things kind of got sidetracked. Obviously, he spent some time in San Jose recently, which was a bad team while he was there. Now he's in a good team. If he gets service, is Jeremy Obobasi a 10, 12, 15 goal scorer in Major League Soccer again? So I think it could be a fascinating one. All right, my turn. We're going to go back and forth
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this.
Your pick. So this is game number 2 of Morning Kick Round's Fab 4 for Match Week 3.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Abobasi's former team, the San Jose Earthquakes, who are hosting Minnesota United in the game at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Perfect start for the Quakes so far, but they haven't faced anybody that you would consider a real threat to do anything this season, right? So, yes, Bruce Arena has them looking good and moving in a good direction. Okay, I say that about not playing anybody. The game against Real Salt Lake to open the season was pretty impressive, 4-0. If you put Real Salt Lake's win against Seattle into a good column, what is RSL going to be? But I don't think anybody's really high on RSL right now, and that was game 1. Game 2 for the Quakes was the 2-1 win over Sporting Kansas City in Kansas City. I think SKC is going to be pretty bad this year. Now, what was interesting there is both Chicho Arango and Joseph Martinez scored in that game, and those are the guys. And who else in this league is playing two forwards like Chicho Arango and Joseph Martinez? Like, I don't know that we've seen that for a very long time. And I don't know that Martinez is a 20-goal scorer anymore. I think Arango is. But I'm a big fan of Christian Espinosa for St. Louis. I'm sorry, for San Jose. So I think, this is, and then obviously Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a well-rounded team. They have a loss against LAFC and a win over Montreal on their record so far this season. So it is 3 points to start the year. They go on the road to San Jose. Can they get something done? I think that one's an interesting one for me.
Will Bruce Arena march on and complete take this San Jose Earthquakes team to a complete makeover and become a positive and winning team in the league. We shall see match week 3. My second pick, third game in the morning kick round, Fab 4, Atlanta hosting the New York Red Bulls Saturday at 7:30. Both teams coming into this game 1-1. Atlanta won the home opener, then fell on the road to Charlotte, who is making some waves here early in the season. Hosting New York Red Bulls have the same record. Atlanta, they looked very fun, and their home opener, they had that crowd in a rollicking atmosphere on opening week. So it'll be a fun one to tune into. Will the new signings for Atlanta continue their good start when they were at home? They were a little quiet in Charlotte. Which team will come out and will Choupo-Moting, show some DP value on Saturday night?
Yeah, that's this is going to be an interesting matchup of teams that added big name pieces. Latte Lath, not a big name necessarily, but obviously
big
a
money
big spend. Yeah, and then you have Choupo-Moting on the other side. Although everybody knows the guy for the Red Bulls that needs to be good for them to win is Emil Forsberg.
And he had a nice goal already this year.
Yeah, that was exactly why you sign a player like Emil Forsberg, because he can hit that kind of shot from that angle. Just a little bit of space and a curler, far post. Those things are lovely to see. I think that the Red Bulls are all about that press, that intensity, that energy. I talked to Noah Eila, the Swedish center back, whatever you want to call him. I think he plays a little bit all over the place for Sandro Schwartz on my radio show yesterday, and he talked about Emil Forsberg. He talked about this team and the way that they play, and they are very confident, the Red Bulls. So, and there's some rivalry elements here. These teams have gone at each other in the playoffs in the past, and these are two proud teams. I like Atlanta a lot. I think they are sort of and it's tough to say because of the spending, but it's a little bit of a sleeper to maybe win the conference. I mean, I think there are a couple teams you would have ahead of them based on recent history, but I think Atlanta United could be very, very good this year. And that match against Charlotte is a little bit of a reality check on their path to maybe doing that. So we'll see how they respond.
Yeah, that deflated their hype train a little bit in the early goings of Major League Soccer 2025. And then Fab 4 to round it out, who is your second pick? What is your fourth pick of the Fab 4 here?
I hate to be predictable, but I'm taking Inter Miami and Charlotte on Sunday, 4 p.m. kickoff. Obviously, we're watching to see if Messi will play.
Yeah.
Right? That's a thing. There's a lot of MLS fans who were over the whole Lionel Messi came to Major League Soccer, and they're just tired of all the attention and everything being about him and all this stuff. But he's the best player anyone has ever seen, and he does represent something, and he's important to Miami, and it's better for the league and for Miami when he's on the field. I don't care if you can argue that maybe they're better sometimes without him. They would much rather have him. And so we're going to find out if Mascherano puts him in the lineup right after missing out on a couple of games. Is Leo actually hurt and they're gaslighting us a little bit, or is this really truly about managing his minutes and he will be on the field? Charlotte, how do they prepare for Leo or no Leo? That's interesting. Dean Smith, do they have a way of playing that they are so confident in that they just bring it to Fort Lauderdale and it doesn't matter if Leo's on the field? Obviously, you're going to have to account for him if he's there. So that's a thing. And of course, again, Wilfried Zaha is something Charlotte's never had before, a truly game-changing player. And they have been defensive incompetent. They have been in the hunt for playoffs. I mean, they've made the playoffs. They've put together a solid team. They kind of did it quietly, and then they're like, okay, let's add Wilfried Zaha. And now he could be taking them to the next level. And then I think, obviously, a lot of American fans with the Nations League roster coming up next week, more than likely, and finding out who's going to be on that team, can Patrick Agyemang maybe do something for Charlotte that launches him into that national team camp should he be called by Mauricio Pochettino?
And also, will Tim Ream still be hanging on, too? Will be another Charlotte-related national team query. That is today's Long Balls for Friday. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Morning Kick Around YouTube channel. Do it. We blasted through 1,000, going towards 5K. Be the very next to do it. Follow us along on social media at mkickaround, X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Write us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com, or throw us some cash if you're able to. Small, large, or regularly scheduled donations. Anything. We're very grateful for it, and thank you for it. Ko-fi.com/morningkickaround.